He has came over very drunk on my couch.
Have you ever been criminally convicted of any type of alcohol-related offense?
No, Your Honor.
But your concern is that if you provide her social security number for him to enroll the child, he might use that for tax purposes. Is that correct? The state's asking for a temporary order in this matter. I believe testimony will show that Mr. Waits is being medically discharged from the military, and so the state's not comfortable doing a final order at this point. I believe parties agree that they be named joint managing conservators and that a modified possession schedule be put into place, and that Mr. Waits cover the children on his military benefits, whether it be DEERS or Champ VA or whatever is in place for him, and we'll elicit testimony on that. What parties don't agree on is a geographic restriction for mom during the temporary order, a drug and alcohol restriction for dad during visits. We had proposed a child support amount of $300 due to some uncertainty in Mr. Waits' income going forward. And we're just asking that retroactive support be reserved for final. And I believe parties, Ms. Sublett also wants to request a tax provision that Mr. Waits not claim the child on his taxes.
Well, I'll let Mr. Waite know on the record that whoever has custody of the child gets the right under federal law to get the tax exemption. And obviously, if that's mom, then he's not allowed to do it, and those consequences are his. I don't touch anything that's federal as far as this matters. This thing is concerned. So me making an order for that has anything to do with the IRS is not appropriate. But again, that's what the law is as far as the right to get the deduction. And that doesn't mean people don't try it, but obviously I'll save that for a final hearing once we get the final where we can determine what's going on. And I have in the past put restrictions on it as far as that they're not allowed to do it, but I can't order them not to do it. And of course, if they're not allowed to do it under court order, an enforcement cause of action can be filed. So, but again, we'll see. I'll save that for final.
The state understands that the parties agree to be named joint managing conservators with the last name of the child reserved for final hearing. Parties are in agreement with modified possession order, doing the stair steps of visitation with 6 visits at each stair step. Parties are in agreement with Mr. Waits covering the child on his either TRICARE or DEERS or Champ VA benefits. The state's asking for retroactive support to be reserved till final hearing. What parties don't agree on is Mr. Waits is exiting the military, and so his income is going to be a little bit uncertain. There was a proposed amount of child support of $300, and Ms. Sublett's not in agreement with that. Mr. Waits is not in agreement with a drug alcohol restriction, I don't believe, and Mr. Waits would like a geographic restriction imposed while the order is temporary, and Ms. Sublett is not in agreement with that.
All right, well, so long as we're doing something as a temporary order, Ms. Sublett, I will look at making this, I'll get some testimony to find out whether or not you're in the military, whether or not you're having to move anytime soon, but until we get this thing taken care of, I'd normally keep a geo restriction in it no matter what. But I'll get some testimony on that, and we'll get some testimony about the money and everything else in this case.
The state would like to call Rodney Waits. Sir, will you state your name for the record?
It's Rodney Waits.
And sir, were you able to view the DNA testing results in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
And you saw that it finds that you're the father of Amaya?
Yes, ma'am.
And Your Honor, do you have a copy of that, or do you want me to pull up my
court file, and I'll take judicial notice of the DNA, the test report that has been filed with the court back on the 15th day of May of this year. It shows that Mr. Rodney Waits cannot be excluded as the biological father of the child Amaya. Probability of paternity is 99.9999998 with a combined paternity index of 8.3 billion to 1. The court will also find that he is the biological father based on genetic testing at this time and allow the state to proceed. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Waits, have you had visits with Amaya?
Yes, a while back I have.
Okay. But you're in agreement with having some modified possession orders until you can reestablish that relationship with her?
Yes, That's correct.
Okay. And as far as the geographic restriction, you're asking that Ms. Sublet be required to stay in Bell County or any county that touches Bell County?
Yes, that's correct. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Will you, where are you stationed right now, sir?
Fort Cavazo.
Okay. Are your duty station going to change before you are medically discharged?
No.
Okay. Will you be spending, well, you know what, retract that. When do you anticipate being medically discharged from the military?
I'm in the process of proceeding now. I'm looking in the next 2 months.
Okay. And do you anticipate going through the process and being awarded disability through the VA afterwards?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. As far as your military separation, you don't have a confirmed date yet, is that correct? Okay. What is your current rank, sir?
My rank is like E5 sergeant.
Okay. And how many years do you have in the military?
I have 6 years.
And have you reached your 6-year mark?
Yes, I have reached my 6-year mark this month.
Okay. You have indicated that you're not receiving the full E5 amount of pay, is that correct?
That's correct.
What is causing you to not receive the full amount?
The reason why I'm not receiving the full amount, only being a staff sergeant or sergeant NCO for 2 years. In order for you to actually receive the full amount, they will consider you as a tenured for your rank, which is be on the 3rd year.
Okay. So what do you know what you are receiving currently, not taking into account any money that's taken out for child support?
Currently, what I'm receiving for us right now is $3,153.
And so real quick, what rank and number of years is that based on?
So it's, yes, Your Honor. So it's based on this 6 years that I've been in and 2 years that I've been as an NCO.
All right, and what rank?
5, sergeant.
All right, thank you. And 3,000 what now?
$3,133.
And what's the BAH under that under that rank, sir?
The BH is $1,553.
All right, thank you. You may proceed, Ms. Hubbard. Sorry.
Are you currently receiving BH, sir?
No, I'm not.
Why is that?
Well, where I'm at right now for is the deployment they provide in housing. Anytime when you are deployed or you are in rotation, we have to sign an agreement to let them know that they are providing housing for us that we never receive that BA.
Okay. Does your deployment end when you're medically discharged? Or are they going to take you off of deployment and then medically discharge you?
They are already in the process right now. I am currently waiting for orders to get back. I just had my counseling. So usually it is pretty quick from what I was briefed and what I was told, but they are in the process of doing that now. So,
as far as visits go, do you feel like you need a drug or alcohol restriction imposed on you to be responsible during visits?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Do you feel like you have a drug or alcohol problem?
No, ma'am. I know.
Okay.
All right. Quick, what it's pronounced Waits or Watts, ma'am, sir?
Waits, Your Honor.
Sir, have you ever been criminally convicted of any type of alcohol-related offense?
No, Your Honor.
All right. And have you ever been convicted of any type of drug possession or any type of drug illegal use of a controlled substance, sir?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Good enough. Thank you. You may proceed, Ms. Hubbard.
Thank you. And you are in agreement with adding Amaya to your Steers or Champ VA or whatever you've got going on in the military?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And when we come back to court, perhaps in November, you would be willing to provide any documentation of costs that it has incurred for each month for you to enroll her in those programs?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you were asking the court to consider support based on the fact that you're going to be exiting the military soon. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any jobs lined up already?
No, ma'am. As of right now, I am in what they call TAPS. This is a transition from active duty to civilian. And I am trying to get into the program for as interns transitioning, hoping to get hired on. So.
Okay. By the time we come back to court, do you feel like that program will either be in place or you'll be able to find something else?
Yes, it will be in a place where I'll find something else in that time of night.
Okay. And is the reason why you're requesting a geographic restriction because you want to make sure that you can have those visits with Amaya to start reestablishing that relationship?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is there anything else that you'd like to tell the court that you and I haven't talked about?
No, ma'am.
I pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, sir. Once you're discharged, where do you plan on living?
Local here, Your Honor. I plan on living in the vicinity area that what I'm currently in.
Okay, so you're planning on remaining at least in Bell County, is that correct, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, Coryell County, I'm sorry, Fort Hood's also in Coryell County, so same deal. So yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Fort Cavazos. When your birth certificate says Fort Hood like mine does, it's kind of hard to get used to Fort Cavazos, all right? So
I understand, Your Honor.
Sorry about that. All right, then I'll be back in just a moment, sir. But you said you are probably going to be in for at least the next 2 months. Is that correct? You won't get discharged before the first day of October. Is there a good chance, sir? Or you won't get discharged by the first day of September. Is that correct?
No, it won't be the 1st September, and most likely will be in October.
Okay. I may have to make a tweaking order dealing with child support, but we'll take that up in just a moment. Thank you. All right, Ms. Hubbard. I'm sorry, sir. And how many are you current? Do you have any other children other than this one before the court today, sir?
Yes, Your Honor. I have a son who's 10, is locally here too as well. Then I also have a daughter, Isabel, as well. So I have 2.
And sir, is there anyone still currently living with you as far as quarters are concerned at this time?
No, I get my son because I have joint custody with my son, and I usually get him like every other week or so when I actually have the chance.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you very much, sir. Ms. Hubbard, call your next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state would like to call Amanda Sublett. Ma'am, will you state your name for the record?
Amanda Sublett.
And ma'am, what's the name and birth date of the child in this case?
Amaya Sublett, and the date of birth is November 24th, 22.
And you were able to see the DNA testing results in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you're asking the court to reserve the name change until final hearing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You're also, are you in agreement with you and Mr. Waits being named as joint managing conservators?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but you're not in agreement with the geographic restriction, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, can you tell the court why you don't want that in there?
Because it is a possibility I may have to move back to Tennessee because I'm raising 2 kids on my own right now, and with inflations, it's hard to stay here on my own without any help.
Are you currently on a for where you're living?
I'm on month to month.
Okay, so you could give 30 days notice and be gone.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right, ma'am, how long you lived in Texas?
What is almost 2.5 years, maybe?
Are you in agreement with the modified possession order with the stair-stepped visits?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you requesting a drug and alcohol restriction for Mr. Waits not to consume any alcohol during those visits?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a concern that Mr. Waits might have some issues with alcohol?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What have you seen that's caused you to be concerned?
He has came to my house under the influence multiple times. Even when he was seeing her, he has came over very drunk on my couch. And on top of that, I know that he is driving under the influence. I'm trying to think, was there any other? And definitely when he's under the influence, he can threaten in a way when something's not going his way.
So maybe if he's been drinking, he becomes a little bit more belligerent and.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. As far as medical support, dental support go, are you in agreement with Mr. Waits providing those through the military?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But your concern is that if you provide her social security number for him to enroll the child, he might use that for tax purposes. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Have you had any indication that he's threatened to do that or any experience that he's done that?
No, ma'am. It's just I want it in writing just in case, just as well as I have that for my eldest daughter.
Okay. And as far as child support,
I'm
you're
sorry, man, real
wanting.
quick. You see, you got that in for your older daughter?
Yes, sir, from the state of Tennessee. Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Then I'm not sorry. I was wondering who was judging to that because that's not the norm. But okay, it's a Tennessee order. Got it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And man, what part of Tennessee are you from?
Clarksville, Fort Campbell.
Okay, I know where. Believe me, I have been to Clarksville, Tennessee by train back in the day, man. So I know exactly where you are coming from. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Got it. Thank you. Even though Fort Campbell's technically in Kentucky and not Tennessee, but yeah. All right, you
Yes,
may
sir.
proceed.
Thank you.
And ma'am, you're not in the military, right?
No, sir. Both of my parents were.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Just want to make sure that okay, for the restriction purposes. Thank you.
Is there anything else that you and I haven't spoken about that you'd like to make sure that the court considers today?
Not that I know of, no, ma'am.
I pass the witness, Your Honor.
And my understanding is, Ms. Sublett, we're still on the break-in. We're back. Well, we're on for right now the break-in visits where he has to come over and visit with the child for so many visits, with you being present. Is that correct, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
All right, good enough. All right, ma'am, what do you do for a living right now?
Right now, I am a receptionist at an eye doctor's office.
Okay. And are you currently receiving child support from the father of your older child?
Yes, sir.
All right. And what's he do for a living?
Right. He is disabled. He so he can't do anything.
So is he getting SSDI or VA disability? What are we talking about?
Yes, sir. He is getting Social Security, disability, and VA.
All right. And is that child getting any SSDI based on the father's disability at this time directly to you, ma'am?
No, sir.
All right. Have you checked into that?
No, we're good because he goes above and beyond outside of child support.
Here's the deal, ma'am. Not anything to do with this case, but SSDI would actually come from the government and not out of his getting disability. If he's actually getting SSDI, then the Social Security Administration will give you money too. All right.
Yes, sir.
You might let him know that you might want to check into that. That way the child gets an extra check. All right.
Yes, sir.
And he sounds like the kind of dad that would want that to happen. If the government's going to give my babies the money, so be it. So
yes, sir.
All right, thank you. All right, then. Any other questions about the witness at this time, Ms. Hubbard?
No, Your Honor.
All right, folks. Here's what I'm looking at doing as a temp. Where's Mr. Waits? Is he still in? Yeah.
Yes, sir. I'm still
here. I see it. There you are. Here's the deal, sir. I'm looking at ordering temporary child support, but I'm looking at ordering what you're actually earning, sir. You get. I'm supposed to include BAH. I mean, every judge has been a lawyer for 35 years, and every military facility I've looked at in any state, where somebody's in another state, they include BAH in their child support calculations, and I got to do that here. So also, you're not going to be getting out before the 1st of September. So I'm looking at going ahead and making a temporary order that and based on the amount that you're getting paid by the United States Army this time, including BAH, and giving you credit for 2 other children. And I'm looking at, I'll have the state do the calcs on that and look at starting at the 1st day of August. I'm probably going to look at the state sitting down and coming up with a reset order in late September so we can see what we're actually looking at as far as any discharge date after October the 1st or do I need to make adjustments because you're going to be getting out before October the 1st? I'll go ahead and the holding the debate, but then the until final order, figure out what the child support is going to be based on whatever benefits you're going to be getting after you're out of the United States Army, sir. So that's what I'm looking at as far as child support. I will put on a restriction against alcohol use as far as the first 2 levels of visitation are concerned. The one where you have to be at mom's residence and and then when you have to pick the child up at mom's residence and return the child after 4 hours, I don't want any alcohol use during that time frame. But here's the deal, ma'am. I got his testimony. He hasn't been convicted. I've heard your testimony. He hasn't been convicted of any drug or alcohol use. Obviously, drug use is illegal to begin with, so I don't make restrictions against that. I do make for right now. The only restriction against alcohol I will make when he's got to come to your residence for those first visits and pick the child up from your residence for those first 4-hour visits, and then we'll take care of that. Anything else at the end. The bottom line is kind of hard to legally mandate things that are legal. It's perfectly legal for someone to drink in this state and country, but But as far as when he's with the child, I can look at doing something like that at a final order, but I'll need to have a little bit more information, and I got to have some more further data as far as doing that. For right now, ma'am, I'm going to go ahead and put the geo restriction in while I'm going to get you child support for the next 2 months. I'm going to go ahead and do the geo restriction for the next 2 months, and then I will take a look at what we're going to be doing at the final hearing. Here's the thing, ma'am, under Texas law, it's always considered to be in the best interest of the child that both parents be responsible for the child's upbringing and have access to the child. Right now, the child's in Texas, you're in Texas, dad's in Texas. So long as dad's doing what he's supposed to do as far as child support, taking care of the child, then the court is supposed to be leaning toward doing a geo restriction. But again, I can take a look at that at the final hearing. But for right now, ma'am, I'll leave it in there, and let's get this all taken care of before people start departing Texas, and whether or not the court's going to consider that and make that not have a geo restriction at a final. But again, I'll hold that for final hearing. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and, like I say, name you both temporary joint managed conservators. Give mom that right to decide domicile. That right is restricted to Bell and contiguous counties until at least we finalize this matter. I'm going to go ahead and let the state set up the child support as ordered, and ordered that insurance is available to him. So the military, and we'll look at that again at the end of the final hearing. And of course, I don't usually have to deal with court costs on a temporary hearing, but the state will know I'm going to waive court costs due to military service. And then when we come back, sir, we'll see what you're going to be getting as far as benefits, VA. We're probably way too early for SSDI, if anything, but we'll see about that. And see whether or not you're going to be getting anything as far as being payment from the United States Army itself for being medically discharged. But you're under 10 years, so I don't think there's. I know those laws have probably changed since I looked at them last. But anyway, we'll confirm all that at the final hearing. So I'm going to start with you, Mr. Waits. Questions, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
What questions? Do you have any questions, sir?
Oh, no, Your Honor. I don't have any questions. You pretty much answered my question for your geographic restriction. But I do have one thing for the medical wise, for getting the child medical. How's that will be proceeded? Or just gonna wait to the final?
Well, I'm going to order that again, it looks like it's only going to be on a temporary basis. But if you got a TRICARE and your other 2 children on your TRICARE, sir, you need to add this child to your TRICARE. And mom's going to have to go ahead and give you that Social Security number, because there's no proof that you're going to try to put on. And I'll put in the final order. If somebody reminds me, I'll just put a notice in there, not an order, but
right.
Notice that under Texas law, the child support, the deduction for income tax goes to the parent with the right to decide domicile. All right, I don't have no problem with the order, but it's the law. So, but the Texas doesn't actually put that part of the order unless it's one of those orders where parents agree that the person should get 1 year on and 1 year off. And I've never done that as a child support judge, but did it lots of time as a child support lawyer. So, I mean, as a divorce lawyer. So, but sorry, went off the track a little bit. Sir, but is there anything else you have a question about, or anything else you need a clarification on, sir?
No, Your Honor.
All right, that's the sublet. Questions and clarification requests, ma'am?
No, Your Honor.
All right, has the state been able to calculate what the child support needs to be for the next 2 months based on Mr. Waite's current income and information, Ms. Hubbard?
Yes, Your Honor, it's $678.
All right. Anyway, I'll order that to start the first day of August. I'll order that through the first day of September. I'll have you, obviously, you need to put the parties back in breakout rooms to circulate an order, but I'll have you sit down while they're in the breakout room and determine what date before we late September dockets will accommodate both of them to appear, so we can see whether or not that child support will carry through October or any first days of the month thereafter, if Mr. Waits is still going to be in the United States military. All right. So is there anything else, Ms. Hubbard?
No, Your Honor.
All right, folks, you need to hang around because we got a new policy trying to get parties to sign off on orders before we let them go, because after we let folks go, they have a tendency not to sign off on stuff or not get stuff. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and let the state do that. I'll see you both late in September. In the words of Rod Stewart, when I really should be getting back to school, but not for me anymore. But anyway, I'll see y'all in September. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to quote Rod Stewart. Y'all probably way too young to know who that is, but I'm not even going to go there. But I'll see y'all back in September, and we'll tweak this one because, again, this one has some very special circumstances based on Mr. Waits getting out of the military and the circumstances with the child. So anyway, I'll see everybody in September, and I'll allow the state to get y'all back. And if there's anything that needs clarification by the court before y'all get out of here, the state will bring y'all back in, and we'll get that clarified. But otherwise, I'll see y'all back in September. So I'm going to go ahead and go off the record, and I'll let the state put y'all in the appropriate breakout rooms, and I'll see you both in about 60 days. All right? Thank you.
Is income tax a federal or state issue?
I think it's a state issue.
No.
I'm not sure.
Taxes are federal government, okay? So the taxes you're referring to are a federal income tax issue. Or is this a federal court that we're in today?
State court.
There you go. I have no jurisdiction or authority, nor does any order that I sign have any jurisdiction or authority to issue rulings regarding federal income tax issues, okay?